Superheroes normally know what they're supposed to fight, but what if the thing that's following them doesn't attack, and it just gets closer and closer and closer, until possibly, maybe, it's too late. They called him Fire Blast, and everybody loved him. He was a big, loud, and famous superhero, using his control of fire to keep the people safe. He could go toe-to-toe with some of the most dastardly and evil supervillains, including the evil The Mechanist, who is now holding a hostage high above the city. Fire Blast flew up. "Let her go," he said. People cheered at him from below, as if him saving the woman was already a foregone conclusion. "I love you, Fire Blast," the woman said, but the Mechanist held her in his giant mech suit and pointed at Fire Blast. "You have humiliated me for the last time, Fire Blast." He launched a rocket at Fire Blast full of water. Fire Blast easily dodged it and then blasted the mechanical arm, sending it falling towards the crowd. The crowd was terrified, but Fire Blast shot fire at it until it exploded into tiny little pieces. He was a master at work. He turned to face the Mechanist, but the Mechanist was already climbing the building up. The woman was screaming, "Save me!" and Fire Blast flew up with all of his strength. He loved to show, but now he really needed to focus. And as soon as the Mechanist reached the top of the building, Fire Blast punched him, sending him falling down below. The woman screamed up at him, but Fire Blast shot a giant plume of fire, going down, 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 until finally he caught the woman in his arms. But this is what made Fire Blast such an amazing hero. As the Mechanist fell, Fire Blast managed to grab him out of his suit and pull him down to safety as well. He had the woman safe and his adversary, who he made sure was in cuffs, but perfectly safe. Even the Mechanist smiled a bit when he had to get into the back of the cop car. "I'll get you next time," the Mechanist said. "I'll wait for it," Fire Blast said. He waved to the crowd, took pictures, and signed autographs. He cared about his fans, and so he signed autographs for every single person. He was there for hours, until finally, a man who he had signed multiple things for talked to him. "Hey, Fire Blast," he said. He was a skinny, tall guy, pale, like he didn't go outside much. "Hey man, do you want me to sign anything else?" Fire Blast said, smiling. "No, The fan looked down, as if he was trying to remember something. "I'm sorry, I don't know what to say." He looked at him in the eyes and chuckled. "I'm nervous." "That's okay, man." Fire Blast put his hand out. "Let's take one more picture. I'll hold the phone." And he took the man's beat-up, cracked smartphone, taking a selfie with him. "Could you just do a video?" the guy said. "Sure, man." Fire Blast looked at the sky. He needed to get back on patrol, but he took the video. "What do you want me to say?" "Say with my best friend, James." "Okay, sure. Hey everybody," Fire Blast said to the camera. "I'm here with my best friend, James." James kissed him on the cheek. Fire Blast pushed him away. "Come on, man, are you serious?" "I'm sorry," James said, looking at the ground. He handed him his phone back. "Do you want anything else?" James looked at the ground and he was almost beating himself up. Stupid. "All right, man, I'm gonna head out," Fire Blast said. He flew into the sky. Sometimes fans did act weird. It was par for the course for being a celebrity. And Fire Blast tried to feel good about saving the girl and stopping the Mechanist once and for all, but something about the way the guy looked at him, he didn't like it. He tried to shake the feeling and focus on his work. When Fire Blast finally landed in his trailer park, he opened his trailer and greeted his two dogs, Yin and Yang. "Hey guys, come on! The two dogs chased each other through the field, and Fire Blast looked out over his view of the city. Some would think that being a superhero and living in a trailer was a little weird, but Fire Blast liked the privacy. And besides, being a superhero didn't pay the bills, so he had to do what he had to do. As Fire Blast watched Yin and Yang play with each other in the field, he noticed something lying there. Something that shouldn't have been there. He was pretty strong, he didn't mind looking, and so he flew over and inspected the thing that was in the field. It was the phone. The phone that he recorded the video on for the fan. He picked it up and looked at it, weirded out. He looked out into the woods. His trailer was in the middle of the woods on top of a hill that the city gave him after he saved the city. But still, nobody was supposed to be out here. "James?" Fire Blast called. Even though the woods didn't answer, he looked into the darkness between the trees. He was creeped out. "All right, guys, come on back." Fire Blast called his dogs back in and went to sleep as the sun rose. Over the next few days, Fire Blast kept an eye out. He kept the phone in his back pocket as he fought crime and didn't think too much about it. "He's a fan of mine, right?" Fire Blast said to his therapist. "He should show up and look for it." His therapist took some notes. "Well, people do develop something called a fixation." "What's that?" Fire Blast said. Basically, you're just an obsession of his. I wouldn't worry too much about it. You said he didn't have superpowers? Yeah, Fireblast said. I think it'll be fine. Finally, Fireblast saw James standing at the edge of a crowd right after he stopped the Mechanist from stealing a spaceship. Hey, I have your phone, Fireblast said, landing right in front of James. You remember me? James said. Fireblast remembers me, he said, looking at the ground. Hey man, I'm happy to give your phone back, but you really can't come to my house, Fireblast said. You went to his house? Somebody in the crowd said. What the hell, man? People in the crowd started booing James, and Fireblast put his hands up. No, it's okay. It's okay. He's got something called a fixation on me. People in the crowd laughed. James started looking angry, looking at the ground. Hey, man, it's not a big deal. Just come to one of my fan meetups, okay? I'll see you there. James started moving his mouth in a weird way, like he was chewing something. Fireblast. Take the phone, man, Fireblast said, with his hand out. James took it out of his hand and looked him in the eyes. Yeah, whatever, James said. He spat at Fireblast's face and walked into the crowd. The crowd yelled at James, but Fireblast told them to calm down. He dabbed at his face and watched James leave. It was par for the course of being famous, right? When Fireblast got back from his patrol a couple weeks later, he found the same phone, which was now deeply destroyed, scratched up. It even had a red liquid on it in the middle of his field. James, Fireblast said, looking out at the woods, but nobody responded. He called his dogs to come back in, but only Yin came back, not Yang. Yang! Fireblast conjured a giant fireball, lighting up the entire woods, and he saw the body of something in the woods. No, Fireblast said. He ran over to his dog and found a shard of glass sticking out of the dog's neck. James! Fireblast's eyes glowed. He looked through the woods all night, but he couldn't find anything. He filed a police report. He even posted to social media talking about a crazy fan who attacked his dog, and he begged for people to have his privacy. Please, I know you guys like me, and you're my fans. It's great. I really appreciate it. I love you guys. But seriously, there's a boundary, and I need my privacy when I'm not saving people, Fireblast said. Just be cool, okay? Now whenever he met fans, Fireblast was always looking over his shoulder. It was like the things that he loved to do were taken away, joyless somehow. Sitting with Yin at Yang's grave, Fireblast felt angry. He did all this work for people and he still suffered. What was wrong with people? As he flew through the sky looking for some action, he saw a figure standing at the edge of a building, looking like he was ready to jump. Hey! Fireblast flew down, trying to get to him in time. The man jumped, falling off the building. Fireblast had a passing thought. Could this be James? And then he beat himself up for it. He grabbed the man and pulled him up to another rooftop. Are you okay? Fireblast said. It wasn't James, but the man was shaking out of it, like he was doped on something. No more, the man said. Just no more, I'll do it, okay? Please! Fireblast noticed that the man speaking was homeless. Wait, do what? Fireblast said. I'll jump off the window to get the superhero, the homeless guy said. He'll pull me to the rooftop and Fireblast felt something in his neck and he fell unconscious. Everybody wants me to thank you, a voice said as Fireblast woke up. He was hanging upside down, dipped headfirst and upside down into water, with an oxygen tank making him breathe. Everybody wants me to thank you so much, James said, sitting in front of the water tank, petting Yin, the dog, who was terrified but had a muzzle around his neck. I thank you for saving me, and the only thing that you do is take a couple of videos and make fun of me, James said. Fireblast looked, and throughout the entire room were shrines to Fireblast. All of his posters, memorabilia, photo shoots, all the things that he signed for James, and yet they were crossed out with big X's, posters ripped down. James was wearing Fireblast's costume. Fireblast was completely naked in the water, and James was laughing. Yeah, such a big superhero now. I mean, seriously. Fireblast tried to say something, but James got angry. No! You listen to me now, okay? My mom died in that fire, but you saved me. You saved me, and you made me come back to life. So, you and I are supposed to be together. We're gonna be superhero team up, and everyone's gonna love us. Fireblast felt the oxygen was going weak. He saw the thing in James's hand. He was holding the oxygen closed, cutting off Fireblast's air. Fireblast had fought giant robots, huge monsters, things with superpowers, but he had never fought anything like this. The lack of oxygen was making him go unconscious and unconscious and unconscious. Just nod your head, James said, smiling. Just nod your head that you and I are going to be superhero and sidekick and everything's going to be okay. Fire Blast made eye contact with James. His eyes were widened with panic, but then he calmed down. He nodded. "I don't believe you," James said. He held the oxygen closed. With no oxygen, Fire Blast started drowning in the tank. But Fire Blast had trained himself, trained for this moment. He kicked against the glass, cracking it. "Wait," James said. He kicked again, fighting. James's eyes widened in panic. "You're supposed to die. You're supposed to die in my room. Fire Blast broke the glass. James came down at him with the knife, but Fire Blast put his hand out, burning James's arms. James fell to the ground, screaming in pain. "You burned me! You burned me! You burned your biggest fan!" Fire Blast struggled to his feet and pinned James down, tying him with the oxygen cord. "You're not my biggest fan," Fire Blast said. "You're a freak, and I hope you rot in jail." Even when the cops came and took James away, and they assured him over and over again that he would be fine, Fire Blast never truly felt safe again. Every time he would take Ian out and let him run around his trailer, he would look into the woods and expect to see James there, waiting for him. "I'm telling you this as your therapist," his therapist said in Fire Blast's therapy session. "You need to let this go." "But I can't," Fire Blast said, walking around the therapist's office. "I looked into his background. I never saved a young man with his mother dying in a fire. His story doesn't make any sense." "Calm down," the therapist said. "Please, you need to. You've had these superpowers since you were 14 years old. You've never felt powerless like this before," the therapist said. "Trust me, people who are adopted at an early age show." "Adopted?" Fire Blast said, looking at the therapist. "Yes, adopted. You were adopted when you were 6 years old." Right, Fire Blast said, swallowing. He had been adopted by a rich family when he was very young. He didn't remember the details that well. As he flew through the night sky after his session, he knew he shouldn't visit James at the prison. He knew he shouldn't go. Why would James lie about him saving him? Why would he pretend that they had interacted in the past when they really hadn't? He had to go. Finally, the pressure got too much and Fire Blast asked to visit James in jail. "I knew you'd come," James said, looking at Fire Blast in the eyes, chuckling. "I knew you couldn't stay away from your biggest fan. I used to love being a superhero," Fire Blast said. "And now you—" "Listen," Fire Blast said, slamming his hand against the table. "I used to love being a superhero, and I will still be a superhero even with you in jail, but..." Fire Blast looked down, then looked up at James. "For the life of me, I can't remember. What did I save you from?" James started chuckling, deep. "It wasn't a fire," James said. "It wasn't even a calamity." James started itching the back of his head, like he was admitting a joke, a sick, twisted joke. "You don't even remember your bestie from the orphanage?" James said. Fire Blast was an orphan. From early childhood, he had been inseparable with... Fire Blast felt full body chills. "When the rich people adopted you, I promised myself," James said, looking at the ground and then up at Fire Blast. "I promised that I would make you regret the day that you were born. And now you're this big superhero." James started chuckling. "It just wasn't fair. And I knew you loved your fans, Stanley," James said, using the name that Fire Blast had before he was adopted, before his life changed. Before the accident, before he was a superhero, everything. Back when he was in an orphanage. Back when he cried himself to sleep every night. Back when the only fun he had playing was with another boy, James. Until the day that Fire Blast got adopted. So excited, he ran to tell his friend James. And James had tried to kill him, and he went to juvenile. "I had it all planned out," James said. "I don't even have superpowers, and look how afraid you are of me." Fire Blast grit his teeth. He knew what he had sworn to do as a superhero, but suddenly he couldn't. "I need to get out of here!" But the guards were too slow. They weren't coming, and James just kept laughing over and over again. He needed to stop that laughing once and for all. The guards opened the door to find Fire Blast with a ball of fire, about to burn James for a crisp. "Do it," James said. And Fire Blast really wanted to do it. If he burned him, he never would have felt unsafe. He never would have been followed. But Fire Blast closed his eyes, grit his teeth, and left the room. The truth is, there wasn't a single part of him that didn't want to kill him, but Fire Blast just didn't do it. And that made James go wild. "Come on! I tried to kill you! I tried to kill you!" The guards held him captive, but it wasn't enough. Fireblast walked away, hearing James's screams. "You have to kill me! You have to kill me, Stanley! Come on!" And Fireblast knew that he would never be the same again.